we watching this week? I don't know. What are we watching?
What are we
this
watching?
week?
So
Let's
much
check. On the screens.
So much is on the
So
screen.
much.
So much.
So excited. Okay, so where do you want to start?
Well, let's start with our Loki.
Yes. So we've been watching Loki season 2. We are on the penultimate episode. We're on episode 5.
Mm-hmm.
And this episode is called Science Fiction.
Oh, is it?
Yes, it is.
All right. Oh, let me look at my notes. I forgot.
I am so in love with this show. It's
Do we
just,
need to do
it's so
a
good.
spoiler?
Oh, yeah. So, spoiler alert. We're going to be talking about Loki, season 2, episode 5. We're going to be talking about Gilded Age, episode 2 in season 2, and then Miss Marvel, episode 2. So, if you have not watched these episodes and you're listening to the podcast, go ahead and skip. You're probably going to have to skip about 10-15 minutes. We have a lot to talk about. And then come right back. If you're on YouTube, we're breaking up the segments now, so you should be fine. So, just go to the next segment. Okay, that's our spoiler alert. What did you think of the episode?
Well, because I watched it like a little while ago, I need to look at my notes, and the first word was wow.
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 So let's just do a little preface. So the last episode, episode 4, ended with the loom exploding.
And like a
boy
big
turning
white
into...
light.
Yeah, and then it was all coming towards them, and then Loki was crying, and everybody was like, what did we do? That's it. We're going to die. You know, it was like one of those moments.
Yeah,
so the episode picks up with Loki.
Yes.
And then...
alone, and he's just staying there like, what is going on?
What is going on? And there's still tears in his eyes because he doesn't know what's going on, what's going to happen.
He definitely doesn't know what's going on. Like, people are kind of disappearing, but then he starts time slipping, right? And he's really confused. And I made a note about, I wonder what building they were filming in, because it looks like, I don't know, some kind of like military base or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because that's the
like
basement thing that they go to where they can go out to the loom. What I find interesting, and it's something that we forgot about, like the first episode he was time slipping, and then we meet OB, and then we don't talk about it anymore. So I think this is now us, because he wasn't time slipping in the last 2 episodes. He was very much in control without that happening.
So I remember I really enjoyed this part where he was like, remember he started like time slipping but to specific places where other people he knew were, and then he bumped into OB from like another world, I guess.
It was OB on his timeline.
Oh yeah, he was like an author, a failed author, who likes writing science fiction. And I loved how they were like figuring out what's going on and how to, help Loki.
Because it was so funny, because at first he was so like, oh, so you're not a scientist, so you can't help me. He was like, well, unfortunately, I had to get my PhD in like physics.
He's like, oh, so you might understand what we need to do. Yeah, that was really cool. I really liked that. And so they kind of like determined like the time slipping, like they're trying to figure out how to predict his time slipping and whether or not he can control it. Or
OB wholeheartedly believes that he can, and then that's what's so great, because at the end you find out how he realizes how he can actually control it. But I love seeing everyone in their actual lives. So B52, she's a nurse or a doctor, one of them. That's so cute. Mobius's life is a little chaotic.
And I remember there was a part in there, part of his storyline in there, which there was a moment. I said that there's a moment with Mobius that I loved. What the heck moment was that? I don't remember. But there was a moment in it with Mobius that I loved. It probably had to do with maybe it had to either do with when he was trying to determine whether to believe Loki or not, and that, or afterwards when they returned to OB's, and then he talks about something.
Talks about going back to his kids.
Maybe.
Well, I think the point for me
something was
is Mobius is like, it's so crazy because he is still Mobius, right? Like in his life, he still seemed like Mobius, and for Loki to be able to like convince him, like, hey, listen, this is to help. You know, if we don't do this, then the timeline's gone. Then things happen. Your boys aren't protected. They're not even gonna know you're here. And he takes them back like a couple minutes to when he can see himself and Loki interacting.
Right.
It was so good, bro.
It was.
And it makes the one for me that was wild was old boy being a criminal. That for me was wild, breaking out of Alcatraz.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, he doesn't seem like that would be like, it's very believable for B52 to be like a like nurse or a doctor or something.
B52?
Yeah, that's
Is it really?
Pretty sure.
Okay.
Because remember, Brad or whatever, he's like X5, something like that. Yeah, like Mobius had a name because he was like higher up in the ranks. But anyways, no, it was very good. I really enjoyed it. And then when he went to go get Sylvie, he's finally got everyone else. He goes to get Sylvie.
He has to convince her that you know what's really happening.
She's like, of course I know who you are.
I was like, what?
And he's like, wait, what? She's like, and then he's like, no, because this all happened. She's like, I know, Loki, I was there. He's like, what? Wait, hold on. Pause.
I really wish I was more specific in my notes because I also wrote, then Sylvie, so great.
Yeah.
What part?
What
part, Carl?
I mean, that was that whole scene, though. That was that whole scene of, like, him thinking that he has to explain to her, and she's like, no, I remember. Like, I was there.
And I think she was convinced. She was actually turning it around and convincing him that maybe you're not doing the right thing because maybe people belong where they belong, you know, and they're happy, and that maybe there is nothing to fix.
Well, I love that we got down to the bottom of why he really wanted because we know that Loki is like
right because she was like drilling him like what do you want? Loki?
Why are you really doing this? Because you could give two cares about the TVA for real. He's like, no, because I want to help. I want to do this. She's like, no, that's not it.
Really?
Why is it? And then he says, because I don't want to be alone. And I was bawling. I was like, no.
Yeah. And then she was like, oh.
So we're all selfish.
Yes.
We're both selfish.
Yeah, because he was calling her selfish for wanting to live her own life.
Yeah.
And enjoy it.
And really, he just didn't want to give. It's so crazy because he addressed them. He's like, I don't want to lose my friends. Like, that's just so crazy to me to come from Loki.
Yep.
And then at the end, you know, everything, Sylvie realized she was wrong
but she had totally convinced Loki. He went back and like, all right, you guys can all go home.
Yeah.
And then she shows up because everything started disappearing on her.
Well, everything
everyone
disappeared.
Everyone was disappearing.
Yeah.
And then Loki finally found out
how he can control it. And it's not when or why, it's who.
Yeah.
And then the very end of it was him going back to OB when they were on the steps before the loom. So that's where it ended. And I went to the end of the credits just to make sure there wasn't anything else. But there wasn't. So excited.
The end was so good.
Now we just have the final episode, which I hear is one of the best finales in Marvel series. So this
I
is
look
great.
forward to it.
I'm so
sure
excited.
It'll be very excellent.
Yes. So now we're going on to let's stay on Marvel. Let's go to Miss Marvel episode 2. Okay. And this episode was called Crushed. I'm really starting to like I knew last week watching the first episode that I liked the show, but I really liked the show after the second episode. And this is cool because it's like the classic like superhero story. Like now she figures out she has power, so now it's like, oh, how do I use it? How do I train? So it's her and Bruno like up on the roof trying to do things. The part that got me so funny was when she fell, when she was trying to like make a flip, and she's like, "You have to let me go," and he like looked so distraught, and he let her go. You find out she's like 3 feet from the ground.
You know what slightly bothered me about that whole part?
Yes.
You do?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yes, tell me. Yes, tell me.
Okay, in the comics, her powers are different. In the comics, she's more like Mr. Fantastic, where she has stretchy powers, and she makes this big-ass fist and, you know, stuff like that, which she still kind of does in this, but in this, she's more like Green Lantern, and she ends up calling her ability Hard Light, okay? That's what Green Lanterns use. Green Lanterns call their things hard light constructs. So I was like, man, you know what I mean? I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Remember, though, it's the MCU, so it's not directly from the comics. It's inspired by the comics.
Yeah.
But you're upset about it.
I'm upset that they took the light construct thing because, you know, when people start watching the new Lantern series that's going to be on Max, they'll probably talk about hard light constructs, and then they'll be like, "Oh, they got that from Ms. Marvel."
Yeah,
not.
That's so funny. You know, and it's crazy because for someone who's never read the comics, either comic, I would have never known. I would have thought these were her normal powers.
Yeah, right.
This is what she does.
And so, what I do like about this episode, she became super confident.
Oh, walking in school,
and it was just so much fun to watch her be so confident. Like, remember when she was in the mosque and she literally like spoke up to like the guy who was like past the screen and everything and stood up and kind of like said her thing, and it's like mad respect, right?
Yeah,
like she had like
I love her more in the second episode than I did in the first episode. She also apologized to her mom, which her mom is strict, right? Everybody's mom has things that they're very strict about, but she apologized to her mom and then asked to go out to a party, which was funny. And then her mom as well, trying to figure out what happened with that whole story, because her mom's mom disappeared when they were doing that story about partition, and then we heard that her great grandma like shamed the family or something.
Right.
Who I think this is okay. So the crazy thing about podcasts is I came over to Carl's house and we had dinner and then we did our production meeting. But I wanted so bad to talk to him about this, and I was like, we gotta wait till the podcast. Okay, we gotta wait. So what I was trying to say earlier is, the mom of old boy who was in the car at the end and they got picked up, I think they are from the other side of the family, where the great grandma, you know, she was cut off from the rest of the family because of something that she did. I think they're from that other side of the family.
Okay.
I think her and old boy are related. I think they probably really are cousins.
Oh, Lord. Maybe.
I think they really are probably cousins.
Speaking of Kamran, or like Cameron or Kamran, I thought it was like super convenient that he like just showed up and they happen to like each other.
Yeah.
I was a little, but
now we
don't know why, but when it first happened, I was like, really? Nah.
Because how was he already in that car, and then like he was already there? Like, it's crazy, and I need to know who his mom is.
Oh yeah, he just showed up. Him showing up out of nowhere. I was like, but I mean, then it became obvious. Then like, oh, something else is happening. It's his mom. Yeah.
Also, the one girl, I can't remember her name, the redhead that is like Insta famous.
Oh no, I don't know her name.
Well, she was being interrogated by by the people, and you know what? Respect to her, because she shut the flip up. She still gave it away because she's a teenager and they're trained interrogators, so they know what type of movements you do when you're lying. But she shut the flip up.
Yeah, she felt like something was up, and she wanted to protect
whoever it was. Yeah, because she was like, she didn't hurt me. She saved me. And there's like, It's like, what is she? Latina, Latinx. Did you see the way the other guy looked at her? Like, can we be respectful when we go into these mosques and stuff? Like, can you not? Mm-hmm. Like, I guess he doesn't like the way that she does it.
Well, she definitely got it out of her though, because she didn't have to say anything. She's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, but my whole point about Kamran though is that when he first showed up, I didn't really believe that they had, like, I believe that she probably was attracted to him, but I didn't believe that it was mutual just because they happened to be from the same culture and he happened to be the new kid in the school. Like, I thought it was like too convenient. Like, I was like thinking, oh man, I'd rather it be like some other geeky nerd dude, you know, that...
Oh, Bruno.
Or, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just thought it was super convenient, but of course by the end I realized, oh, that's why he didn't really like her. He was just baiting her.
I think he might though. I think he might, like, because what is a teenage series without a little love triangle drama between the best friend that's always been there? Yeah.
Yeah, he totally was super, like, bothered.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. So that's good. I can't wait.
But I did love her geeking out with him, though, Kamran.
Yeah.
They were geeking out in the diner.
Yeah. It was good.
And you know what I predicted? I predicted that, well, kind of predicted. I was saying, like, oh, watch him end up being, like, the big bad of the show. Yeah. Which, in a way, you know, it's his mom. Kind of. We don't know yet. Right? Yeah, maybe. And then, I mentioned how Bruno was jelly.
Oh, we didn't talk about the projections, how she started getting projections from, I'm guessing, the owner of the Bengal before her.
Right. I thought she looked like Cameron's mom.
She did, right?
Right.
That's why I'm thinking it's from that side of the family.
Yeah.
Maybe that's her Bengal. Maybe. And she wants it back.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh my God, because it was on the news what happened at AvengerCon when she first used the powers. And then the next day he showed up in class. Or the next day he showed up in school. Ooh, it's very, very big. I want to know what's going on with Manoba's family. Manoba? I think that's her mom's name. With her side of the family. I want to know what's going on. I want to know the tea. I love when they were at the little gathering when it was like a little festival. Yes, and all of them were like gossiping, like, I heard she did this. I heard she did this. I heard she killed a man.
Yeah.
That was great. So really excited for the next
I have
episode.
more stuff I was excited. Oh my God.
What else
I have a lot of shit. I mean, stuff.
Oh God.
I was excited about. I was saying, I really loved that scene where I guess she got really excited about Kamran or something. She came in through the door and she started dancing.
Yeah,
and
that
like
was
dancing
cute.
to all the way to the refrigerator, and the mom was like, "Oh, so how was blah blah blah?" And she's like,
"It was magical."
Yes, I thought that was done so well. She's just so good at doing what she does. It's just so genuine, like a.
During that,
so fun.
During that scene, I had the same thought that you were talking about last week, how the actress is really convincing you that she is that character, that she's Kamala.
Yeah, I totally believe her. Oh, it was magical. And then I also mentioned that the bathroom scene with Nakia, that girl, and she says, I love you.
Yeah.
I don't really remember, but I wrote it down.
No, that was when she was her powers were so she was in the bathroom.
And Nakia was like being such a great like older sister type of thing to her, and be like so supportive, even though it wasn't about the same thing.
And then that's when she was like,
oh, that's sweet.
And then she gave her like the shirt to wear and the earrings, and Nakia told her story about how she's too white for some people, she's too ethnic for others, so she just started embracing herself.
I like that too. Yeah, I like all of that. And then I was saying, I don't know that I ship Kamala and Bruno. I don't know that I really like Bruno, and I don't think I'd like him for her. I kind of don't want them to be together.
Oh yikes!
And I thought it was super cute, that scene where Kamran and Kamala are hiding behind the menu because he sees her brother on the street. It's so
And then he just comes in the
cute.
restaurant and he's like, hi.
And then she just convinces him that that's their cousin. Like, I mean, that's funny.
Well, really, you know, it's funny. Well, really, Kamran convinces him because he's like, I'm Uncle Chowdhury's nephew through marriage. And then,
like, oh, yeah.
But, like, I wonder if this is a true thing that he's saying because he's on the other side of the family.
True.
Like, you know, listen, if it happens, you heard it here first. Like, I mean, even though this series has already played out, but if it happens, you heard it here. I'm betting that they really are cousins.
Wow. Maybe. And I really appreciated their dinner scene where they literally gave us a history lesson.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I wanted it. Mm-hmm. You know, I would hate to misspeak, you know, talk about the series and talk about them and be ignorant about it and say something wrong. And so I was really glad to hear about more of the history of their people.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that was really important.
Her mom was not having it brings up a lot of hard memories for her mom. Mm-hmm. So yeah. But no, it was good. Do you have any more notes?
I'm gonna leave the rest. But I was just wondering, you know, because the show came out a little while ago, but now that the movie's come out, I mean, the movie I hear isn't doing so well, but
I hear the movie's not bad though. That's the thing. Like, I hear people that have gone to see the movie and said, stop listening to what critics are saying. Go watch the movie. It's actually a good movie.
Yeah, I believe
so. I don't know.
And so
I mean, I'm still gonna go see it.
I'm just curious if the people who did see it, if somehow it's bringing up the viewership of Ms. Marvel, because I think it deserves to have a little bit more spotlight. If it didn't do well, I think it deserves to.
I can't wait till we go see it so that we can form our own opinions about it. Because the problem is, and I've told you this before, what I hate about people who do like movie reviews and stuff, sometimes it just feels like everybody just is always trying to find something wrong. It's like they're not trying to enjoy the movie for the movie. They just want to go on the internet and bash it. It's like that's like the cool thing to do. It's not cool to go on and say, hey, this is a good movie. It's cool to say, oh, the frame that they did in this, the camera that they use here, the focus they did here, like that's the cool trend
Drama
to do. It's not cool to just be like, honestly, I like the movie. Like it was bad. Like no movie's perfect, right? And people like movies for different things, but I feel like I don't know. I felt this way for a long time that I feel like people who want to be movie reviewers, like from what I've seen, because you can't generalize everything, but from what I've seen, a lot of people just want to do it to have something negative to say. And a real movie review is going to have negatives and positives, you know? So that's
a good point.
That's all. And that's all for my TED Talk.
Woo! On to the next show.
Okay, so we've been watching Gilded Age.
Yes.
We've
actually watched ahead. We're way ahead where we're actually reviewing. We're doing episode 2, season 2.
Season 2, episode
but we're
2.
Already to eat.
We're episode 4.
Yeah.
We're episode 4. So I went to watch season 2, episode 2 a couple days ago. And it was so good that I could not turn it off. So I watched the other 2 episodes.
God.
But today, before the podcast, I was like, you know what? Let me go back and watch season 2, episode 2 to make sure I know where to stop, you know, when talking. So this episode was called Some Kind of Trick. One of my favorite scenes.
This is episode 2.
And I think I talked to you about this. One of my favorite scenes was when Peggy Scott comes back to the Van Ryan home, and Aunt Agnes is like, we will welcome you back. You leave Armstrong to me. And then it goes to when she's talking to Armstrong. She puts her airplane.
Yes,
and the part, like, and I was watching, and Ryan's not watching it with me, but he was in the room when I was binge watching it. So he was like, why is she doing the crocodile tears? Here we go. This is how people do. And I was like, Agnes isn't asking her to do anything crazy. She's not saying bend over backward for the girl.
Yeah.
Just don't be a douche is what she's asking.
Yeah.
And the lady can't do it. And then the point where she turned around and she's like, I'm sorry, you think that this is a discussion. This is an order.
Yeah.
Either you treat her with respect or you find another job.
Mhm.
And I was like, Aunt Agnes, you my girl.
I mean, the incredible thing about that scene for me is just how, like, she didn't bat an eye. Like, she was super confident in what was going to happen. Like, it was no question. Like, oh, you can't? All right, that's fine. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I loved that clear confidence she had in, like, standing up for Miss Scott.
Yeah,
like
and she even gives, because she obviously doesn't want to lose her because she knows all of her tendencies and stuff. But she even handed her a doily, and she's like, oh my god, it's not that dramatic. She's like, because it's not. Like, just don't be a piece of crap human being to her. Like, you don't even have to interact with her, but if she says hi or good morning, say good morning back. Like, it's not gonna kill you.
Yeah, and she still had trouble.
Oh yeah, she's still. I was like, okay, lady, you gonna be out. Like,
yeah, she better be careful.
She's like, you picking her? I just care about this house's good name. And she's like, girl, my good name hasn't been in question for years. Like, trust. So I thought it was so good. And then this episode is the episode where Aurora takes Marion to try to set her up with a guy that works at her husband's bank. They go to the tennis match in Newport. So most of this episode takes place in Newport with everyone going there. I guess it's the summer or something. I don't know. But yeah, before we get to that. All right. I know that the Russells are villains. I know this. I'm very aware. George Russell is definitely a villain. He definitely is. But you cannot deny how much he loves his family. Like, how much he loves his wife and his daughter. This was the episode when he went in and was like, listen, Oscar wrote to me, but I wasn't sure what you want me to tell him. And he straight up told her, he's like, listen, you can do way better than him. If you don't love him, this ain't a thing. And I promise you that when you find somebody that you actually love, I will go to bat for you. And I was like, say what you want about the man. He loves his daughter.
Yeah, I thought that was really, really, really great too. And speaking of Oscar, I just find him so kind of pathetic. I mean, he's become better, but this episode, like in prior, I just felt he was just kind of pathetic.
Well, he's kind of like, he's kind of sulking. He's kind of licking his wounds because George Russell, again, he tells him off and he's like, you may leave now. He does not care, bro. I love him so much. Yeah. But then you see the side of Oscar that helped Marion. When Marion looked at him, it's like, he's not it. And he was able to get her away. He took the extra drink from the guy. So you gotta say a couple of things about it. And I believe that had he married Gladys, he would have made her very happy. But he wasn't being true to himself. He wasn't in love with him. Yeah, exactly.
They wouldn't have been happy.
I don't think he's a bad person. He just has expensive taste. So.
And speaking of that scene with the father, when Glass talks to her father about it again after, I think it was after, but either before or after they had the conversation in which he ends up telling her how marriage wasn't the way to freedom or something like that. Do you remember that line? Yeah. I thought that was such a really good line because she was saying like, I can't be stuck in this house forever. I want to be my own woman and free or whatever like that. And he's like, well, getting married is the way to do it. You're
just going to have another set of, that's not it.
I was like, oh, that's good. I like that.
You have somebody else you have to answer to. So, so that was good. And then there's a couple of things happening. It's like romance is in the air because now cousin Dashiell is starting to get into Marion. that is the
Oh,
father
yes.
of her
Oh my
student,
God, that's
but
good.
also the
Yes.
cousin of Aurora or whatever.
Yes, right,
So,
right. That's okay. Yes.
yeah, so that's very interesting. I like him.
I do too.
I like him. He may be a little bit older for her,
But
but
he's a man. He's a man.
But-
He's a boy.
But I like him. He seems very nice. He seems very like put together. I mean, I like him compared to anyone else she's been interested in. I feel like she's gonna, like, I'm just gonna make the prediction now. I feel like she's gonna end up with Larry Russell, Gladys's older brother. I feel like they're gonna end up together.
I mean, yeah, that's possible.
There's been little nods from both of them since season 1. Like there's been them, and then even when Mrs. Blaine, because he's sleeping with old girl, even when Mrs. Blaine, like when she came up, she was like, "Who is this?" It's like, "Oh, this is Marion," blah blah blah. And then when Marion had to go back and Gladys came back, and Larry's like, "Who is that with Marion?" Like there's been little things, like it's very subtle, but your girl knows.
Interesting.
Your girl knows. And then remember, he went to give the aunts the note on the day that she was gonna elope, and then old boy never came back. Like there's been little nods all over the place. So I think it's gonna end up with Larry and Marion.
I think that's highly possible. Yes. And then the ongoing cuteness between Reverend Forte or whatever and Aunt Ada.
I just love Aunt Ada. I want her to have all of the happiness in the world.
Yeah, right. She's just such a sweet.
She's such a sweet person. But yeah, they had him over for like tea, and she just could not. She was just talking. It was great, to the point where Agnes was like, "What?" I couldnn talk about anything. You were talking about everything. Like you were about to ask for his mother's death certificate. I love Agnes. I love her. She's so great. So great. So I'm so just beyond thrilled with this season. Like I love it so much more than Downton Abbey.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, Downton Abbey, I couldn't stand the two main characters. Like, I couldn't stand Mary and then her cousin, who was a lawyer that she was married, and then she ended up marrying, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. Oh, sorry, spoilers for Downton Abbey. But I didn't like any of that. Like, I didn't care about any of that. Here, I still don't like Marion. She's all right. I don't hate Marion. Let's just put it that way. But she is a little annoying.
Is she?
Yes. She's better in season 2. Season 1, I really didn't like her. Season 2, I'm warming up to her. Same as Oscar. I hated Oscar in season 1. But I am warming up to him in season 2. Listen, my favorite characters are kind of like the Russells, George and Mrs. Russell, can't remember her first name. And then Aunt Agnes. And then Aunt Ada, because you can't not like her. Yep. Those are my favorites. And then I also really like Bannister, because Bannister and Church, he's the head butler for Aunt Agnes. Okay. And they had a thing where Church, the head for the Russells, where Church was apologizing to Bannister for what he did writing that note. And Bannister was like, "It's very interesting to forgive or forget." He's like,
yeah, right.
He's like, forgive I can do.
Yeah.
Can't really forget.
Yeah.
And then he just walks on. I was like, Bannister's my dude, bro. Because I do not like Church. But I do like Church in this episode because he was also helping out Watson, the valet.
Yeah. Speaking of, I mentioned him in my notes too, Mr. Watson, the valet. His situation.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
They're like, is it spoiler to say, I can't remember what episode where he was told to what they wanted from him? Did they tell him that yet?
In this episode, the guy comes looking for him to have a meeting.
Oh, okay, so not they
they haven't had the meeting yet, so yeah, but that situation is weird. Want to know what situation we're talking about? Tune in next week.
Oh yeah. And then I wrote something about Mrs. Blaine and Larry Russell.
Oh yeah,
What about
sleeping
that?
around, humping like a
Yeah.
bunch of rabbits.
Yeah, I guess I don't know.
I don't
There's anything
hate
need to say about
hate
that.
them together.
Yeah, I don't either.
Like it's cute. I don't hate it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
they
keep
have a
thinking
little
of what happened in the
shindig
most
on.
recent episode. It's
Yeah,
like, I can't
no.
talk about that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I rewatched today just to make sure I know
Yeah.
where it
And
ended.
I wrote Miss Scott and the Lady's Maid, but you already addressed that.
Yeah.
Kind of, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then the amazing ending where they reveal... Isn't this the one where they reveal Miley Cyrus Winterton? Mrs. Winterton?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That was like
right
the
at
shocker
the
at the
end.
end. We're like, what?
Right at the end, Mrs. Winterton, because
Makes her a grand entrance.
because McAllister was telling her, it's like, hey, they got married so quick that nobody's met her, but like she's like younger, so we can probably get her to take a box at the
Right.
Metropolitan
It's
as
like,
well.
oh, let me introduce you to her.
And then she walks in. It's Mrs. Turner.
Oh, Mrs. Turner.
Turner.
Yeah, Mrs. Russell's face was like, she like turned white.
Yeah.
Whiter than she.
That is crazy. So, that's going to be
Oh my
interesting
God.
since we know some
Oh,
more
it's
about
gonna-
that,
yeah, I
but
know.
we
It's
can't
gonna be a
talk
lot
about it
of
yet.
fun
But that
drama.
was very interesting, and we'll see how that develops.
Yeah.
It's so good. How did she work it that quick, bro? She is. Well, actually, we do know because we heard about it in another episode.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
so yeah, that's good. Do you have any more notes?
No.
All right, well, that's Gilded Age episode 2. Oh, so good, so good. I love the shows that we're watching right now. But we have one more episode of Loki.
Yep.
And then we're done with that. So,
do you have other shows that you wanted to mention?
I'm not currently watching any other shows.
So, Jason and I, we started a new show that's on Max. It's called Scavengers Reign.
Mm-hmm.
And it's super unique and it's super good. It's super high, like, sci-fi, world-building stuff that I feel like I would only have seen in a indie comic. Like, really out there sci-fi stuff. Like, you have to see it. And then you'll know what I'm talking about. But it's called Scavengers Reign. It's really good.
I'm not really into sci-fi, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'll take your word for it.
And then we also watched the first episode of Monarch, episode 1, which is, the Universal, not Universal Monsters. I mean, Godzilla and King Kong.
Oh.
That monster universe.
Yeah, no.
We just thought it was alright. I mean, I think we'll probably watch the second one to see if we like it. But we just thought it was okay.
Okay.
And then today was the first episode of the new Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm.
Jason watched it while I was working so I could hear everything. And so it's like, I tried not to listen, but it sounds really good and I look forward to watching it.
Okay.
And then, did you hear? There's an Exploding Kittens TV show.
What?
Animated show.
What?
Yeah.
It could be fun.
Yeah, it actually didn't look that bad, but I was just surprised to see it. I think it's on Netflix. And then, of course, there's Percy Jackson. There was like a trailer, but I didn't see the trailer.
Yeah.
Is that something that you would be interested in?
Yeah.
Percy Jackson?
I mean, I'll possibly, but not really.
Okay. And then I have some movie updates.
Yes, I have one movie that I just remembered. We went to dinner with Ryan's parents this past week.
Oh.
And we were talking about the movie Napoleon.
Oh, yeah.
That has Joaquin Phoenix in it. And I finally seen the trailer for it. It looks good. I want to watch it.
Yeah?
It looks good.
Okay.
So that, I still want to watch Wish. Try to watch that within the next week or two. And then I do want to watch the new Hunger Games movie. Like, I do. And
don't.
I'm gonna be the one. I'm gonna be the one to say it. Yes, I'm watching for snow. I don't care. It is. It is what it is.
Oh.
I'm true to myself. I'm watching it for snow.
Oh, damn. Yeah.
What
And then
movies do you have?
the movies I saw a trailer called Bad CGI Gator. That's the name of the movie.
Okay.
I think it's like a direct-to-video type of thing, but the whole gimmick is, I think they're trying to, bank on, the whole Sharknado / The Meg, except it's a bad CGI gator.
Okay.
Or maybe even like Cocaine Bear or something like that, that kind of thing. So it's kind of like out there like that. And then, did I mention Madam Web already last week?
You did.
I did, so I don't need to talk about that?
No.
And then there's a new movie by John Woo. It's called Silent Night, and I don't know, I hope it's good because I'd like to watch it because there hasn't been a movie by him in a really long time. He's an excellent, famous, like, Hong Kong action director who's done some films in America.
Okay.
And then there's the third sequel to The Terrifier. It's like an indie horror thing that may be coming up. And it's going to be in Christmas. And then they also had the trailer for the new Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon Part 1. It's kind of like... So, Zack Snyder, he had proposed like his own Star Wars movie before. Or rather, he had written something like a treatment for a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
This is his Star Wars movie.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it.
Mm-hmm. And then, did you see the trailer for Damsel with Millie Bobby Brown?
No.
It looks really good. I think the premise has to do with, I don't know if she's a princess or anything like that, but, it's of that type of time period, like with princesses and stuff like that, like a slightly fantasy world. And she's, I don't know the details, but she's in danger for some reason. That's why it's called Damsel. But the whole spin on this is that she is not a damsel and she doesn't need someone to save her.
Yeah. Because
she ends up fighting herself, and saving herself and stuff.
Kind of like Fiona from Shrek. Like, she didn't really need to be rescued.
Yeah, it was like, and so, I don't know. I think this movie looks great. It has some other people in it, like Angela Bassett is one of the queens or something like that, and
makes sense.
Somebody else is another queen, and they're all badass women. Anyways, that looks really good. That's gonna be on Netflix. And then there's a new movie, I think, I think it's a movie or a special on Prime called Merry Little Batman.
Oh my god!
On December 8th.
I don't like that.
But it's a weird, cute little animated movie where there's like a kid, maybe he's Robin. I don't know who he is, but there's a kid, and then he becomes Batman, and I don't know, saves Christmas.
Okay, I do have one more update. This is actually for TV because we are in the festive season. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the little claymation, that's going to be playing on TV November 27th. So I'm excited.
November 27th?
So yeah.
That's the debut date of Baby Monster.
Oh my god. So you have two things to watch. Baby Monster debut and
I'll be mentioning that again when we get to the music part.
All right, perfect. Do you have anything else?
No.
All right.
Once upon a time, we read a book.
And what did we read?
We read Wonder Woman #1.
Oh, yeah. This is the variant cover.
Yes. And this is part of the Dawn of DC. So Carl has been trying to get me into comics. So we've been reading Dawn of DC issues #1s.
Yep. So
good.
What did you have to say about this?
This was on another level. It was I didn't expect what happened here. If you haven't read it yet, and if you plan to read it and you don't want spoilers, maybe fast forward about 3 or 4 minutes.
Scene,
not even just that
scene, but that whole image is like, bam, it's beautiful,
crazy. 19 men dead. It's like the crazy thing is there were 2 women that were present. They're perfectly fine.
Oh, you know what was as striking?
The
equally
news story.
As striking.
That was
when she freaking
amazing.
Turns around, bam, right? Like the art in this book,
so good. I really enjoyed. You know what I enjoyed because it felt like I was watching a story. I really enjoyed how the different news reports came up. and you got to read it, and then the headlines, and then different things, how different stations, and then it was like over time, so you can tell one was right when it happened, one was, you know, a little bit later, one was the next day, and then when the news cycle like trickled down to them signing acts, which is the Amazon extradition. What's E? What's E? I know it was acts. Amazon extradition
enforcement or something like that. Like,
something like that. So that was so great. And then I also loved, I never really seen, other than Gal Gadot doing it in the Wonder Woman movie, but I never really seen the lasso of truth. So when she lassoed one of the soldiers and was like, "Did I attack first?" And he was like, "No, we were under orders to shoot you in the head." Like, he straight up snitched, bro. And she was like, and she was like, "I wonder what happened." Also, Sergeant Steele, though, I like him. I know he's a villain, but I like him.
He was like, he was really, like, he was smiling through all of that. Yeah.
Like, and they say that he's a rival to Waller, but they have to possibly work together on this initiative or whatever. Bro, it's wild. I liked it. I couldn't stop reading it. It was great.
Yeah, I told you I read it twice, because I normally don't read things twice, but because I read it a long time ago, but then we're going to read it to review, so I read it again, and I was like, oh, this is good. I can't wait to read the second issue. And the second issue is available.
Yeah. So, I just want to... what is interesting, like what I don't know is why the one Amazon did that, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're trying to find out. They're trying to find her to figure out, like, what the hell's going on. It's
one thing, like, if somebody's whatever, like, you can restrain them or whatever, but she straight up killed them.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting, and I know Diana's gonna be working to try to find out as well. But it was okay. Who was the Amazon on the throne? Was that Nubia?
Yeah. Yes, Nubia.
Okay, that was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I just think this comic just has so much, like, there's so much relevance to it to now, and it has, like, it really just says so much about so many different things. You know what I mean? Like, the whole beginning, they're talking about, you know, fighting this and how, you know, they'll all, you know, say that it came down to doing it for America. Yeah. And, like, I was like, oh, wow. Yeah. And, like, attack on American values, and then calling that Amazon, who is a, like, an immigrant, right? Calling them a terrorist and, you know, attacking on America values, and they're saying how the Amazons, they don't have the same values we do because they grew up in and there's no men there. What does that mean? And then it ended up being, it was like, wow, I can see how all this propaganda. Like, just all this propaganda, like, it's crazy, and I can see why they're like, oh, was this their agenda all along? Yeah. There's no men on that island.
They're trying to make America the same. Like, they're trying to get going on. It was crazy because it feels like I was watching like a movie as I was reading it, because even when they were interviewing the one worker, so he's like a typical like blue collar American. Like he's like, listen, I don't have anything against them. My daughter was Wonder Woman for, you know, Halloween, you know, and he was like, I'm just saying, what's the agenda? You know, we just need to get to the bottom. And I was like, this is so like what, like it's like I'm watching a movie. Real world. That's how it happens.
Like, they think everybody's got some kind of agenda and all that stuff, and like that whole thing, like, we need to protect our kids from the exposure of these Amazons because they might be teaching them to hate men, and you know, it's kind of like that whole thing. You know, they're like, drag queens can't tell stories to kids because you know, they're gonna turn them into drag queens or whatever.
It's very, very. It's so good. I recommend if you haven't read it. And again, I'm not really the biggest comic person, but this was so good. Like, I want to read episode 2. It was so good.
Yeah. So Tom King, the writer, he's in the writer's room for the new DCU stuff, like for the movies.
Oh, nice.
And so
this is Carl trying to onboard me to the new DC.
So
movies.
Maybe he'll write Wonder Woman. Who knows?
It's so good, bro.
Yeah, and the end reveal.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. Basically, they're saying America is the way it is because there was somebody who had the power to tell us lies, and we just said,
the lasso of lies, bro.
Yeah, right?
I was like, what is
That's
this?
crazy.
What is this?
Yeah.
And also, why does he look like, he looks like a gremlin or a hobbit or something? Like, what is going on?
I think they're trying to say, like, you know, he's like as old as the Pope or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, old school power and royalty or
the
whatever.
power that's really behind it.
Right.
It's kind of like how now we're like, oh, Illuminati.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's like the power behind. But like, why? It's so crazy.
Yeah.
That's why I want to like.
What's gonna happen?
I know. I need to know. I need to know.
I mean, if you want, we could read second issue also.
Yes, we could. We have to pick our one for next week, though.
Yes.
Where are we at?
Well, I wasn't really sure what to pick, to be honest. But following up on the heels of Wonder Woman is this title called Amazon's Attack.
All right, so let's read that.
Amazons end up attacking America. I think Nubia ends up
Amazon's Attack. So if you want to read along with us,
Yes.
go ahead and pick up Amazon's Attack, issue number 1.
That's right, and you can pick it up at your local store or whatever, bookstore, and, you know, support them. Or you can get it digitally on, not anymore Comixology. Now it's part of Kindle, so on Kindle you could probably buy it. Or you can subscribe to DC Universe Infinite Ultra and get all your comics a month after it's released physically. And
Perfect.
It's awesome. You should get it.
Yes, and definitely read with us, because again, I've been wanting to get into comics. I just haven't. And then, of course, DC was not my choice. But honestly, I've liked everything I read except The Flash.
Yeah.
Again, The Flash, just for some reason, for me, was not resonating with me. Like, I honestly just did not get. I'm still thinking about how I didn't care.
But this was my favorite thus far of all the ones we read, Wonder Woman.
Is it my favorite?
Of the number ones.
It might be, honestly.
Yeah,
It's definitely up there. I really like this. I really like this. Or I really like Spirit World. Like, that was just very interesting to me. What was the first one we read? I can't remember the first one.
The first one we read was...
It wasn't Titans.
I
don't remember what the first one we read was. But I remember liking the first one. Oh, wait, do you have all of the...
Oh, yeah, I have all of
the shoot sheets there?
Titan, Spirit World, Birds of Prey.
Birds of Prey was the first one. Birds of Prey was good. I'll probably put that in the middle.
Yeah, Birds of Prey.
Yeah, Birds of Prey was the first one. Okay, that's the one I couldn't remember.
Nice.
Birds of Prey, I think, is going to get really good. But it was just an introductory. I think it's going to be really unhinged. That's what I think about Birds of Prey.
Well, I haven't read any new issues yet, so I'll let you know.
Okay.